Vera Stanhope is a very strong woman. I love some American crime writers with feminist central characters, that even the feminists had central characters who were very beautiful, very young, could run a lot. So Vera Stanhope is my antidote to that. She's a bit ugly, she's overweight, her skin isn't very good, but all the same I think she's very human, very intelligent. I think there are lots of women who do live those sort of lives, and Emma in Morts, lande has ambitions, she has dreams, she has fantasies. So she sits in the quiet in the evening when she's feeding her baby and reads Madame Bovary. I think so. I did a social work training and worked mostly with offenders as a probation officer. So obviously had some training in psychiatry and did a placement in a psychiatric hospital. So that helped me understand, I think, that ordinary people can lead desperate lives. I'm very interested in that. And as a probation officer, I went into prison to work with offenders and saw them in the community too. I supervised them in the community. So all that helped. The most interesting and the most valuable work I did as a trainee crime writer was to provide pre-sentence reports for the court. So the judge, before passing sentence, would want to know as much as he could about the offender before deciding what was the most appropriate dispersal for them. And that gave me such license to go into people's houses and nose around and look and ask very intrusive questions. And what better training is there for a crime writer than that? No, I have never lived in a big city. I lived in London once for about 6 months and I was ill perpetually. I don't like big cities. I couldn't imagine living in them. And anyway, I write very much in the English tradition of the small country town novel. I grew up with the tradition of Dorothy Sayers and Agatha Christie. And so for me, part of the joy of writing is to keep that tradition and then to subvert the rules if I can. So I do write about small villages, but they're not Agatha Christie's village, which are pretty with thatched cottages, and my villages are quite hard, bleak places, and they're ex-pit villages in Northumberland, or they're the wild, rural, agricultural village of Elvert, not pretty at all. So I do enjoy writing within that format. As a writer, it's just another experience, and it's meeting more people, different people who are outside my own line of work. I wonder sometimes, there are some very successful writers, and it seems to me that very often they only meet people in publishing. They meet other wealthy writers and they share gossip and wine, and that must be very agreeable, but where do they find the people that they need to write about? I'm not sure. If you don't use public transport and you can't overhear those conversations on the bus or the train, I think you need those everyday encounters to find topics to write about. And I would never lift a character, a prisoner, and put them wholesale into my book, because that would be wrong. But just listening to their stories gives me so much material for me to develop into the books. I suppose a small thing would be that I was with my granddaughter, who's 4, and somebody asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, and she said, without thinking, oh, I'm going to be a writer like Granny. And she will be a writer. I know she'll be a writer because she spies on people. She watches them and she eavesdrops she'll be a writer. And the big thing, I think, the big hope for all of us is that the Americans have elected an intelligent man. And that should be a thing of joy and hope for us all. I'm just very pleased to be on your website, to be in France, and that I have French readers, because I love the country, and I'm very happy to be here, speaking to them, doing the interview for them.